Taliban militants attacked a Kabul compound, killing 7 people. Joining us now, Frank Gaffney, president and founder of the Center for Security Policy, Jonathan Schanzer, vice president of research for the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Frank, your assessment of the president's speech last night.
This really was a whistle-stop campaign appearance, I think, Lou, as much as anything. He was saying to our enemies, we're out of here, and to his Democratic base. He was saying to the Afghans, well, no, actually, we'll maintain a relationship with you really no matter what comes next. And given, as you say, what happened immediately after he left and what has been happening, that's almost certainly going to be the return of the Taliban. And he's signaling that, you know, we're basically now locked into losing this war, an important part of the battlefront.
After 10 years, we should be certainly used to that.
But it's getting more so.
Excuse me, Frank. Jonathan, if I may turn to you, the issue of victory was not even brought up by the president. As Frank said, this was basically a farewell and hardly a fond one, but yet it commits the United States to this strategic partnership. Your thoughts?
Well, certainly I think we're going to be invested in Afghanistan for quite some time, but I do think that this was more of a campaign stop, as Frank indicated. This was a victory lap of the, marking the 1-year anniversary of the killing of bin Laden. So in other words, if we're ceding defeat, I think the president wanted to at least claim a victory, and I think he did that with the American people. But that said, I think the sort of notion that Al-Qaeda is now reeling as a result of this, I think it needs to be pointed out that the Al-Qaeda network, the affiliate groups, which include the Taliban and groups in Somalia and Yemen and Iraq, they're still very much on the rise. They still very much pose a threat in Afghanistan and throughout the Middle East. And so I think a lot of this is very premature. The war on terror is far from over.
Despite declarations by at least some in the State Department and reversals by at least the leader of counterterrorism, John Brennan, in the White House. But as we look at what this president is obviously expecting, talking about a negotiation the Taliban invited to Chicago during the G8 meeting, for crying out loud, while declaring, the Taliban declaring a spring offensive, and in no way disassociating, at least in any way publicly, from Al-Qaeda. Frank, what is going on here?
Well, Lou, if this were not so serious, it would be hilarious. You got to wonder what our troops are thinking as they are continuing to be attacked, in some cases killed, in other cases maimed by the very people that the president is evidently quite prepared to turn the country over to. But, Lou, there's another piece to this, just building on what Jonathan said, far beyond the core Al-Qaeda, which the administration would have us believe is now essentially out of business, and the other franchises of the group that are still very much going concerns, we have this other problem that too few people are talking about or really even understand, and that's the Muslim Brotherhood. And I don't mean just in places like Egypt and Tunisia and Libya and probably soon Syria. Yeah. I'm talking about here as well. We've done a piece on this called MuslimBrotherhoodInAmerica.com, which I would really commend people to. It helps explain a lot of what is otherwise inexplicable about this Obama administration's policies in so many of these areas that are so detrimental to our security.
Let's go to that which is, I hope, explainable, and that is this administration's position right now. The Israelis calling up reserves. Jonathan, what is the latest in what is developing in Israel and concerned, obviously, focused on Iran and its nuclear program?
Well, certainly we've been seeing quite a bit out of Israel right now. You've got former intelligence officials from both the internal security services and the external, the Mossad, going up against Benjamin Netanyahu, basically saying that he's pushing for war and that he needs to stand down. Netanyahu and his defense minister, Ehud Barak, saying that the window is closing and that if Iran continues to go forward at this clip toward this nuclear program, that the Israelis won't have much of a choice. And now, amidst all of that, they're calling up reserves. They're putting them on the borders with Egypt, where things have been very uncertain, as well as Syria. So it appears that the Israelis are mobilizing in some way. I think, it's still a little bit early to determine exactly what they're doing. doing and what they're preparing for. It could be just simply, preparations for what may be coming next. But certainly the Israelis are on tilt right now, and this is something that's important for us to watch, because the Israelis are often sort of a canary in the coal mine. They're a harbinger for what's to come in the Middle East.
We got about 30 seconds, Frank. Your assessment, if you would.
I think Israel recognizes it's facing an existential threat. It may come first and foremost from Iran and its proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas. It may come from some of these states I mentioned a moment ago that are now increasingly under the thrall of the Muslim Brotherhood. Either way, it's bad for Israel, it's bad for freedom, and it's bad for us.
And Benjamin Netanyahu, what is his course, his future, very quickly?
I think he is at the point now where he is going to have to strike Iran. I don't think he's anxious to do it, but I think he really has no choice.
All right. Jonathan, thank you very much for being with us. Frank, Frank.